All right. So today on our agenda we have, oh, I did not finish typing this word. Resources. Save. Okay, now I'm ready to begin. So on our agenda today, we're going to continue with elementary music, the big picture of what the concepts we teach in elementary music, kindergarten through about fifth, sixth grade. We will take a look at specifics grade by grade, a brief look, time permitting, at the Tennessee standards, and then resources. That's the piece I really want to get to. So, excuse me. Last time we were talking about uh, the big picture in terms of um, overall the six big concepts we look at are rhythm, melody, form, expression, timbre, and texture. And I intended to have a breakout room, and now we can. So we're going to have a breakout room in just a moment. And in your groups, you're going to create a hierarchical list. In other words, from simple to most complex, of elements to teach in your assigned concept. Or ask yourselves, what do students need to know or understand for this concept, the most basic thing? And to give you an example, we started with rhythm and determined that in terms of hierarchy of rhythm, the, the most elemental, the, the first thing, the first concept children need to understand is a sense of beat. They need to have a sense of beat. And from that sense of steady pulse, then you can begin to introduce them to the concept of long sounds and short sounds. And then you can start to discuss pattern. And we can group beats in twos and threes, eventually fours and fives, but frankly, we start with twos and threes. And then finally, you can get to notated notation, and starting with iconic, which are pictures, iconic notation, and then to the standard notation that we use of quarters, eighths, sixteenths, halves, wholes, dotted halves, etc., etc. So in your groups, what you're going to do, I'm going to assign you each one of these concepts: melody, form, expression, timbre, and texture. And I want you to discuss in your groups the simplest thing, the most elemental, the initial seed of understanding that students need to have, and this continue to build. And all right, I'm going to stop the share and let's go into breakout rooms. I'm so excited about this. I don't know how to put you in these. There are 20 of us. Oh, I guess that includes me. So we're going to have about 4 per room. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Assign. Oh, this is cool. Oh, do I click move to? Oh, nope. Whoops. Assign. Oh, this is awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now I'm just doing this alphabetically. Someday I'll be more creative, but for now, I also discovered that when I created 5 breakout rooms with the intention of it being for elementary methods, it would, be specifically for elementary methods. It's done that in every one of my classes now. So, all right. Let's see. How am I going to do this? Okay. Alexa, Alyssa, Anthony, and Antonio, because it's going alphabetically, you are going to take melody. Breakout room 2 are Casey, Chloe, and Daniel. You are going to take form. And then breakout room 3 are Donovan, Ethan, Hannah, and Hunter. You are taking expression. And then breakout room 4, Isaiah, Jarrett, Jada, and Reese. you're taking timbre, or as one of my undergrad professors always said, timbre. And then finally, breakout room 5, Tate, Taylor, and Zachary, you are taking texture. Okay? And we just had another person join, didn't we? Who just came in?
I think it was Mary.
Okay. All right. Mary. Unassigned Mary. Assigned to breakout room 5. Cool. All right. And I will be popping into these rooms as soon as I figure out how to do that and helping you if you have questions. Ready, set, go. Cool.
Before class starts.
Hi, guys. I'm in here with you. Which one did I give you? Because now I can't get to that screen.
We have texture.
Texture.
Texture. So what are your thoughts about texture? What is texture in music?
It's like the way a specific thing sounds, I guess, is the best way I know how to put it.
I feel like it's kind of like when more than one sound is like layered on top of each other, and then it makes like a sound together.
Yes.
And then that's what makes something unique in music.
Okay, so what would be the very simplest texture? You're all on the right track.
Like a solo voice, like unison.
Unison. Unison. Okay, so think about that and build from there. And then also start to consider texture that you can have in harmony, but that's later. And then also consider accompaniment and the different kinds of textures you'd have there. So you're right on the right track. So I'm going to let you get to it and go to a different room. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Break. Breakout rooms. Oh, this is funny.
Different stringed instruments, since they're so close, that would be a good, like a violin and a cello.
Right.
Hey guys,
like the egg shaker example.
I'm just checking in on you to see how you're doing. You have timbre, which I think could be difficult. So I hear you talking about instruments, which is good. What else have you? Where else have you gone with this?
We just really talked about like identifying like different sounds, like being able to tell apart like, okay, this is what singing sounds like, or this is what a specific instrument sounds like versus like a drum or singing, or just how like all those different differences between those instruments. Or yeah, that's basically what we've done so far.
Okay, good. I would start with the voice and think about, and you wouldn't initially think that you would have to teach children this, because I didn't initially think this when I was a young teacher. What are all the sounds your voice can make? You've already said singing. What else can your voice do?
Scream.
It can yell. We call that a calling voice so that they don't scream. What else?
Maybe eventually like your head and your chest voice.
Yeah, and that's much later, but
yeah, that's why I said eventually.
Yeah. What are we doing right now?
Talking.
Right.
Talking, because that's something you have to teach young children, the difference between speaking and singing, because they don't just automatically know that. Even though they may hear a difference, but they don't know that one's called speaking and one, you actually have to teach children these things. Isn't that weird? What about this? Whispering. Okay, so voice, and then when you get into instruments, what are some differences between percussion instruments and basically everything else?
Pitch.
Yes, pitched and non-pitched. So I will leave you with that, and you continue going. As sounds like you're doing great. I'll see you in a little while.
And then moving it to that. Oh, hi.
Hey, I'm just seeing how you're doing because you actually have a hard one.
Yeah.
So
You know, how does it make you feel?
yeah, so you have expression. So what are excuse me, what are elements, what have you talked about so far?
Just getting them to move first. Movement is like move to music.
Okay, so moving to show what kind of expression?
So far, they've said stop and start, and then also we kind of talked about like maybe smiling when the music, or like running when the music's fast, and walking when the music's slow, or stuff like that.
Okay, definitely we have pace. So slow, medium, and fast. What about, what else do we initially think about in expression? I think you were,
Emotions.
huh?
Emotions, like happy and sad. How does it make you feel? Like, because, I mean, we know because we're older that, you know, minor chords sound sad and major chords sound happy. So, you know.
Okay. Well, let's take it back to, if you're in an ensemble and your director says we need to work on the expression, it's probably going to be tempo. What else is it going to be?
Phrasing.
Dynamics.
Dynamics. No, not especially phrasing, but tempo, dynamics, and then what are other things you do to make your music expressive?
Well, you reference like whatever, like I don't know what the exact term is called, but like the words in front of like whatever passage you're playing, like espressivo, allegro, like adagio, something like that.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I have no idea how to like write that down further.
Yeah, you're along the right vein. Like I said, you guys have one of the more difficult ones.
You use like words and emotions to help them understand how the piece feels, so they can associate feeling with it.
You can. It's funny, Hannah, you have kind of an unfair advantage, and it's actually hindering you a bit because you're thinking like an elementary music teacher, which makes my heart happy. But I need you to think like an educated musician right now and not think about kids. Well,
sorry,
as a teacher,
that's where I flourish.
it's a great problem. So we have tempo, dynamics. What about articulation?
Yeah.
Yeah, staccato, legato, accents, fermata, slur, all that. When slur kind of gets into a little bit of phrasing, and then interpretation. So those are, so you kind of have a big chunk here. So I think I'd start with pace, and what are the tempo?
Yeah.
Fast and slow, and then dynamics. What are the very simplest elements of that? And then how would you build upon it? Don't worry as much about articulation and interpretation. I think pace and dynamics will give you plenty. Okay. So I'll give you about, I don't know, about 5 minutes to do that. All right. Thank you guys. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Oh, DJ.
Yes.
Maybe we could do with them.
So listening to repetition.
Yeah.
And understanding it and then pairing it with a visual or kinesthetic experience.
Yeah.
Hi guys, how you doing? I'm just popping in from group to group to see how everybody's doing. So you have form. So what was the most basic thing?
We said potentially like repetition. So like in a way of them like singing a song, and then like, cause they don't know like the chorus verse breakdown, but of just being like, when you hear this melody, like that's like you could, visualize it with like raise your hand if you hear the melody again, or raise your, or so this is, or just verbally say this is A, because they may not understand like what A and B means yet.
Yeah,
But we
they
were just
don't.
saying like maybe like listening to repetition within like a song that we
Okay,
sing.
good. You're at about late kindergarten. What do you have to understand before you go to A and B? Because you're really close. So A is this thing, and B is.
Well, this is so hard to read now. It's on Zoom. There's
I
no
know.
cheating on this now.
I know. So there's A, and what makes B B?
Is it the difference between
Yes,
itself
different.
and A?
Same and different. So you start with same and different, um, and then you call that same thing, you call it A. You call that different thing B, and that's pretty much as far as you go in kindergarten. Um, and another element in that same and different, because I know as musicians we're thinking big A, big B, it would need to be very short. So, what is um, like a sentence in music? What's the analogy of a sentence in music?
Is it a
Phrase?
phrase?
A phrase. So you start with a phrase, and then you have another phrase. And is that phrase the same or is it different? And next week, when we get into learning rote songs, we'll have some songs where they'll all basically be 4 phrases long, and you might have same, different, same, um, a variation of the difference. So A, B prime or something. And you start to get them to understand that. And it's basically same, different. Then you branch out to larger forms and you get to um, AB. What would you do after AB? What do you think?
Um, would you do? I have 2 guesses. One of them might be right. You'd either do ABA or ABAC.
ABA.
ABA, okay.
Yeah, and then
Yep.
next you'd go to rondo form,
Yep.
and then also think about Casey was saying, one of the Caseys was saying this, verse refrain. Um, yes, I'm looking at notes. Question answer, and variations. That's a much later thing. So yeah, you're on the right track. Thanks, guys. I'll be back with you in a minute.
Well, sight read, maybe.
Hi,
I don't
guys.
know. Like,
I'm just joining.
hi.
Hi, Dr. How you're doing?
Okay, Dr. Klausner.
Yes. What do you have?
So
Melody?
we have,
You have melody.
so far, yeah, we have melody. So far we've come up with these, and I'll if y'all want to explain, help me explain as well. So the first one we said was a child needs to very elementary step of a melody would be a child needs to be able to hear sound. And we're thinking very basic.
Okay.
Because obviously I'm thinking more of like you need to know if a child has the abilities physically to be able to hear sound. That's important in melody, and then being able to produce sound. So we're thinking like language at this point, but it kind of relates because
almost going too basic now, which is great because the other groups I've been visiting, they were like, I don't know, they were way beyond.
Okay. Okay.
Further along than that.
I think it's one.
Let's assume that they have sound. They know what a singing voice is, and that's actually somebody else's job. One of the other groups has that, so they can sing. So now you're teaching them about melody. What do you think one of the first concepts they need to have down is?
Repetition. or being able to like repeat the melody?
No, let's just assume they can. They can assume they can repeat the melody, but you want to teach them about melody. They can already do it, but remember we do, and then we talk about what we've done. So what is melody?
It's a series of pitches and rests.
Okay, it's a series of pitches. So it's a series of pitches. And what is special about those pitches? Are they all the same?
They can go up or down.
So
Or
some of them can be
higher,
high, and some of them can be
low.
That's the first thing. They need to know the difference between high and low. I know this is, you're slapping your head. It's okay. You're all trained musicians. This is how basic you need to think.
Yeah.
I know. So high and low, and you start with very high and very low, so there's a clear difference. And they go, oh, okay. And then you start to bring them in. And yes, I'm referring to my notes. So high, middle, and low. And then you start to, I think Antonio said the next thing. We can have direction in melody. Our melody can go up. Our melody can go down. Our melody can stay the same. So contour is next. So high, low, contour. Then what do you think?
Oh,
And I know this is hard.
I guess would it be
musicians? Go ahead. Sorry.
Visual next, like to see it like on the page? So kind of not like notation, like they're not notating, but like to see how the melody goes up and how the melody goes down.
That would be a way to reinforce contour. But
okay.
So you've done high and low. You've done high, middle, low, and then you've done contour. Now we're going to start to focus on intervals. A high pitch and a low pitch instead of all the high pitches and all the low pitches and nothing specific. We're going to start to focus on specific intervals. And then you start to say, okay, we have a high pitch and a low pitch, and we sing those. And then we start to add other pitches, and we compare where those other pitches are in relation to that first high and low. And then we just build upon that. Does that make sense? And
yeah.
I know this is like,
yeah,
we almost have bachelors in music, and now we're having to go back and think like 4 and 5-year-olds. So you're on the right track. I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds or maybe a minute, and then I'm going to end it, and we're going to all come back together, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
All right. So, thank you for that. It gave us an opportunity to be in individual groups, and that was this is my first foray into the world of breakout rooms, and that worked not too badly. So thank you for your patience in that. So we're going to go one group at a time, and I'm going to put it back on the slideshow and kind of type up your thoughts. And please don't be embarrassed if you're thinking too higher level. I know when I was in some of the groups, you would just laugh and go, "Oh my gosh, we're so stupid." No, you're not. you're trained musicians. You almost have bachelor's degrees in music. I want you to be thinking that high, but now you need to think, my job is to teach you how to take that high level of training that you have and break it down into the simplest concepts. And whether or not, this is a thing I will repeat throughout, whether or not you become elementary music teachers, this will serve to make you much, much, much better music educators. And I want to stress that. All right, back to the slideshow. Where is my slideshow? What did y'all do with it? Where'd it go? Is it this? Firefox? Nope, it's not. Okay, hang on. I have too many things open, don't I? Word, messages. Oh man. Okay, hang on. I don't know where it went. Nope, not messages. Aha, I had it minimized. That was the problem. Okay, thank you for your patience and our technology challenges. Someday you will be sharing screens, so please have empathy on me now and I'll have empathy on you then. All right, so we've already done rhythm. So let's start with melody. Our melody folks, speak up.
Hello. Okay. So the first thing we came up with, and Dr. Kloster helped us with the finding a beginning, but so getting a student to understand that there are high pitches, low pitches, and middle pitches will be very basic in the, I guess, pyramid of learning's melody.
Ooh, I like that you call it the pyramid of learning. That's a great way to put it. Thank you.
Oh, yay. Somebody else can go next.
Yeah, I'll go. So then after high, middle, and low is understood, then you teach the contour of a line. So is this melody going up or is this melody going down? So yeah.
And then once you got those two steps developed, being able to hear high and low at the contour of a line, we decided that they should be able to hear the intervals, like do, re, mi, or like the song.
Okay, can you say that again? Who was that? I didn't get to
That was
see.
Anthony, me. Anthony, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So once you have those two steps developed, being able to hear high and low and middle pitches and the contour of a line going up and down, we decided that learning intervals were next, like do, re, mi.
Yes. Yes. Intervals. Good. Good. Um, and I would add, I didn't really talk about this, but we start, so the space between two pitches, and it's usually, well, intervals, you start with simple intervals, and then you get to steps, skips, leaps, bigger intervals. So good, good. All right. Like I said, I know this is kind of blowing your minds because you're highly trained musicians, which is a great thing I can report about you to the rest of the School of Music. All right, good job. Good job, Melody folks. What about form? Who's our form group? Inform us, form group.
All right. So the first thing that we talked about was, with also the help of Dr. Klossner, talking about same and different. So that would just show them like what's the same and like what's the different within like a melody line. And then we move on to like labeling those, so like A and B.
Good.
And then they move on to ABA. And then last but not least, ABC.
Or
Rondo form, ABACA.
yeah, which
Okay,
is
sorry.
what is that, everybody? Anybody remember what that form's called?
Small rondo.
Rondo, right. Right. And we would add like call, whoops, my computer's freaking out. Call, response, verse, refrain, whoops, refrain, etc. All right, good, good. The main thing I want you to focus on, because actually, to be super honest, after you get past these very basic things, when you get down beyond rondo, it becomes much more sophisticated and complex, and we're really simplifying it. The main thing I want you to really focus on is how basic you need to start. All right, so my expression group. Enlighten us, expression group.
Okay. Well, we had a lot of help from Dr. Klossner because we didn't really understand what expression was, because that is a very
nebulous,
interesting
yes,
word music. It's very unique. So we decided to settle with fast and slow and volume. So what is the tempo? What is the volume? So we decided at first we'd start off with, fast, teaching them what's fast, medium, and slow, and then what's loud and soft.
Mm-hmm.
So fast versus slow, loud versus soft in music, and then have them move with it.
Mm-hmm.
So show me fast, and then have them, show me loud and soft. So have them actually perform and do it. Like I can, be fast, I can be slow, I can be loud, I can be soft.
Okay, good.
And then have them learn to change with music. So, change, but if you play songs, they can go from moving very fast to moving very slow and learning how to slide between those. And then we said splitting them into groups and having one group move fast and the other move slow. So ensemble independence with moving fast and slow, and then being loud and soft.
Good. Tell me more about, I'm typing a chat. Please type your name in the chat. I forgot about that. So we know that fast and slower tempo, is that all we ever do? Just go fast or just go slow? Or sometimes is there getting faster, getting slower?
Yes.
Okay, so what's that called? Let's see if I can spell it.
Accelerando.
I did not spell it correctly. Accelerant. Okay, Celerando. And what's the opposite of accelerando? Oh.
Retardando.
Retardando. Okay. And then what would be something parallel in dynamics?
Crescendo and decrescendo.
Good job. Crescendo and decrescendo. So there's a lot more that we could add to this, but those are the very... I spelled something wrong. There we go. Those are the very basics, and that's a really great starting place. Good for you. All right, let's keep moving because I know time is upon us and I still have stuff to do. All right, my brilliant timbre group.
Okay, so the first thing we talked about timbre-wise is the different variations of your voice. So you start off with speaking, then you introduce whispering, then yelling and singing, because the kids don't really know all the differences between those until they actually do it first.
Let's call it
so you just want to gradually introduce. Oh, what?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just talking while I
No,
type.
you're fine. Um, yeah, so we had all those together, and then after that, we went to like instruments. So starting off with like body percussion, and eventually going to like drums, and then recorder. Then just trying to get them to distinguish the sounds between instruments. So like a flute sounds soft, and then you can go to like a brass instrument, like a tuba, which is like the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the main things we talked about.
Okay, and tell me one more thing. What was the difference? And it seems very obvious to you guys, but for young students, you need to put this. What was a very important difference between like body percussion and drums? And kudos for you for coming up with body percussion. If you're not familiar with that term, it is to snap, pat, clap, and I'm missing one, stomp. And it's going off the page. Body percussion, let's do that. So think about body percussion, drums, and then when we get into recorder, what's the difference there? Most, huh? Go ahead.
Are you referring to pitched and unpitched?
Yes, pitched and unpitched. That's all it is. So pitched and unpitched percussion, instruments, Pitched. All right, good job. Good. You guys are doing great. I can see as we go along that you're starting to see, oh my, you really need to go down to the most fundamental element because you're getting that. And again, kudos to whoever came up with the word body percussion. I'm very, very impressed. All right, last but not least, texture. All right, texture group, impress us.
All right, so the most basic form of texture you can have is a unison, just one monophonic voice. So that's kind of ground zero for this. And then we thought it would be good to just add a simple like drum beat to it next. So you just have your main voice and then you have a percussive background.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we said you could add like a simple bass line, get used to the students listening to other pitches happening at the same time. And after that, we talked about like a full piano accompaniment, yeah.
Okay.
And then once they got used to having voices like outside parts, then you could go to having harmony within the students themselves.
Good, good. Yeah, it does not mean, and that's great, texture group. That's pretty much exactly, yeah, pretty much exactly how I would go. Now, in terms of this, it does not mean that you would not, it says simple accompaniment and accompaniment down here. It doesn't mean you wouldn't use accompaniment early. It's just you would have them begin to be responsible for recognizing the difference in these things at some point. Great. You know what? I'm going to add one more thing, and I'm really impressed that you said beat with the voice because that is actually an extra texture. Because when you're keeping a beat or someone is playing a beat while you're singing, it is actually two things going on. I know as trained musicians, we don't really think about that, but for a student, a very young student, it is two things: unison and then group singing. So a whole group singing versus one. So solo versus group. All right, good. Excellent job, guys. I will post this, and I would strongly encourage you to, ingrain it and have as a reference. So let's talk about goals grade by grade. So you've pretty much disaggregated the concepts. Now let's look at a chart because I'm not going to say you have to memorize all these things. You're going to have this handy dandy musical goals by grade chart and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there we go. So it goes from pre-kinder, it's several pages long, pre-kinder to sixth grade. Although most elementaries in the state of Tennessee only go to fifth grade, and sixth grade is considered middle school, I just went ahead and included sixth grade. So I'm starting with pre-K. It has their vocal range, which I want you to note is very small. It's D4, which is D above middle C. This is my numbering system. If I'm incorrect, if it doesn't jive with what you use, let's just know that there's a difference in that. D4, which is really kind of not optimal, but E4 to A4 is really where you want to stay. So that would be E first line of the treble staff up to A, second space, which is a really small interval. It doesn't mean they can't sing outside that. It means that's their really most successful tesseratura. All right. Here are all those voice things that you spoke about: pitch, high and low sounds, harmony, beat versus no beat, rhythm, short and long sounds, etc., etc. Here's same, different. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, Dr. Klossner, if you had given us this, we'd have a much easier time with the last activity. I know, but I wanted you to think through it. And then it goes on, kindergarten. And I'm just going to really zip through this because we are going to focus on these 2 grade levels at a time throughout the semester. But I will upload this. There's one on eCourseWare right now, but I'm going to update this because I've been editing it since I created it. I don't know. I think I've been using this for about 10 years, but it's really a work in progress. Greatly influenced by Memphis City Schools, which we will also talk about. All right, let's get back to our slides because I know we're running short on time. Share. So those are goals grade by grade. Use it and refer to it often. Tennessee standards, in the interest of time, I'm going to skip this for now and go on to where you can find songs, because next week you're going to need to find some songs because you have an assignment next week. I want to see when I made it due. Actually, it's not due until August 31st. You're going to choose a song to teach by one of the rote song methods that I will teach you next week. So don't do it yet. You're going to video yourself and upload it, and someone had asked me to help them make a YouTube channel. I will get to that. I keep having to cover different things first, but I will, maybe I can upload a real quick instructional video to the eCourseWare that'll help you. But let's take a look at some places you can find songs. Let's take a look at Beth's notes. This is a project that has been in the works with a music teacher somewhere in the United States. Can you see it? Can you see the website? Stop share. Share screen. To quote one of my undergrads when I was in my doc program, technology in the classroom, because it would always fail when he had to peer teach. Okay, back to this. So now can you see Beth's notes? Thumbs up? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is a really great website started by a music teacher somewhere in the country. She has had this website and been building on it, I would say, for about 15 years. It's really become an amazing thing. At first, it used to be a completely free resource. Now there is a paid side of it. You do not need to use the paid side. There's plenty on the free side. So you can go to Beth's Notes, go to songs, and she has them categorized, alphabetical list, American, folk songs, animal songs, ball and stone passing songs, ballads, blues, bugs, call and response, chants, choral music, songs that are 1/4, songs that are 1/5. I mean, it's an amazing resource. It goes on and on and on. Well, okay, there's where it ends. Songs about the weather. And so let's take a list. Let's take a look at just, come on, go. Can you see the ABC list? Thumbs up? Okay. So here are alphabetically arranged. So this would be a great place for you to go if you knew the song you wanted, but you just needed the score. Okay, I want to sing a Tisket a Tasket. So I'm going to click on that. There's the score. And there it is. So this is a really excellent resource. Let me show you another one. And this one I like because I'm a folk song nerd. Open link, stop share, share screen. I have 5 minutes. So this is the Holy Names University is a Catholic school out in California. And it is one of the big, just like University of Memphis is one of the big Orff schools, Holy Names is one of the big Kodai schools, and they have an amazing folk song collection on their website. And what's really cool about it is that you can search by grade level. You can search by song type. You can search by tonal center. You want a song that's based around La, which will sound minor. You can do that. If you want a certain melodic range, if you want a certain melodic element, it's really an amazing thing. Be aware that because of all the discussion of repertoire and songs that have a racist history, this website is in process of they're taking a bunch of stuff off. There was a time during the summer when the website was not even available, but it's starting to come back. They're working very hard to update it. There may still be songs that are not okay for you to use on that website, so be aware of that. So, back to our slides. I will post this and you'll have the web addresses. I would recommend that you bookmark them for the semester. So, for next time, we're going to talk about repertoire choices. And initially, I had one reading for you, but I have, and I generally don't do this, I generally don't assign you more than I originally said I would, but in this case, I think it'll give you more context, and it's a quick read because these are not research articles. These are articles that were posted, I believe, via Medium on the web, if any of you are familiar with Medium. But they are by, the first one, Alex Santos, is a music educator. I believe he's in California, and he is very involved in the decolonizing the music classroom movement, which is a movement to make the music classroom more open to all types of music. And Urbach, and I think it's Martin Urbach. He's also in that movement. A lot of you are on Facebook, and I noticed there's a Facebook page called Decolonizing the Music Room. I know that, Daniel, if you don't mind my sharing this with the group, that you're in that group, because I'm also in the group, and I saw that we had liked the same article or post or something. It's a very interesting group. If you'd like to join it, I would recommend that you be a lurker at first before you dare post. Because if you post something that is interpreted as racist, they will let you know and they'll call you out pretty harshly. I rarely comment, to be frank. I like to read what they say. I don't agree with everything they say. I agree with a lot of it, but not all of it. But I'll just give you that warning. But it is a very interesting group to be in. And it was actually started by a couple of friends of mine. So read Alex Santos for Monday and the Urbach article. I believe if I can still get into eCourseWare, I think I have it pulled up. Nope, I do not. I think I got disconnected. But they're in week 2, and I've also put a due date on them, so it should show up when you go to eCourseWare. It should show up on the side where it says, this is your next due thing. Does that make sense? But like I said, I think there'll be quick reads. They have some interesting links. If you really want to go down the rabbit hole, click some of the links and follow them and see what's in there. Because there's some interesting stuff in there. So if does anybody have any questions? We have 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Yes, Daniel.
I'm just gonna say briefly. I remembered there's a Google sheet called Crowdsourced Anti-Racist Songs, and I have it, and I think that would be a good resource to draw some of these road songs from.
Yeah, actually, there was a link in the Alex Santos article that will take you to that crowdsourced anti-racist songs. And Daniel, remind me, is that the one that has a different page that it's an Excel file, but it also has a page of racist songs, doesn't it?
I believe so. I haven't looked at it in a hot minute, but I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll have a very interesting discussion on Monday, I'm sure. There will be a discussion board post associated with it, and we'll talk about that on Monday. I just want you to write some of your thoughts, because this may be some uncomfortable discussion. And some of you may go, what's the big deal? Just don't use that song. There are some songs that we will talk about that I've been using since I was a young teacher. And it's hard to let go of those songs because I had great lessons constructed around them. But you know what? Now that I know what their history is, I'm not going to use those songs again, no matter how much I like playing Chicken on the Fence Post. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I know we're a little over time. Thank you for a great discussion today. Thank you for a great class. Stay well, and I'll see you soon. Bye.